Sequels are notorious for being inferior to their original installments, and while I do recognize the difficulties all sequels face, advancing the story that was completed, growing established characters, progressing the world, the pressure to live up to expectations, etc., the reputation is, unfortunately, warranted. However, once in a while a sequel comes along that is equal to or better than the original. Terminator 2, Top Gun Maverick, The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, and Academ's Fury by Jim Butcher. And now I will be adding the Crimson Campaign to the ranks of sequels that succeeded where so many others failed. The Crimson Campaign picks up where Promise of Blood left off. While repelling the invading Kez, Field Marshal Tamis becomes trapped behind enemy lines and presumed dead, and he and the soldiers with him must make it through enemy territory to safety before the pursuing Kez troops overtake them. Adamat is trying to track down Lord Vatas in order to rescue his wife and son, but it soon becomes clear that Lord Vatas's plans extend beyond Adro, and he may be just a part of a larger conspiracy. Taniel finds himself the only powder mage left in Adro, as all the others are with Tamis and presumed dead. While he deals with the idea of possibly being the last powder mage, he also has to come to terms with his suddenly enhanced abilities and the fact that he may have to finish what he started at the end of Promise of Blood and kill a god. To make matters worse, he begins to suspect the Adran army is intentionally yielding ground to the invading Kez. Promise of Blood and the Crimson Campaign were published about a year apart, but it feels like author Brian McClellan had far more time to advance his skill. The Crimson Campaign is undoubtedly the superior of the two books. The overall plot has discarded its haphazard nature and is more focused. The subplots smoothly connect to the overarching story, and their influence is seen in the greater narrative, compared to the first book where some of the plot threads felt disconnected and without purpose. There is still a lot going on in this book, but the pacing is slower than Book 1, and exchanging a breakneck rush for a steady escalation was a good improvement. The characters are more fleshed out and have more depth, but that is also the result of the Crimson Campaign not having to establish the characters. Not all sequels successfully build on the foundations set by their predecessors, though, so credit to the author for advancing the characters' development. There is an undercurrent of the importance of family throughout this book. Regardless if they don't see eye to eye like Tamis and Taniel, or are a stable unit like Adamat, his wife, and their children, families are precious. Loved ones motivate us and propel us to be greater and do greater things than we ever thought possible. I was glad Bo returned in this book, but a conflict involving him that was set up in Promise of Blood was resolved far too easily, and it felt like a cheap, quick way to free up Bo's character so he could fully participate in the greater narrative. I believe Valora has a much more prominent role in one of McClellan's other series, but in this one, I don't understand why she continues to appear in the story like she is important, because so far, she hasn't been. There are some sexual references and swearing, but it's all PG-13. There is supposed to be romantic tension between two characters later on in the book, but it just comes across as awkward. The descriptions of the battles might bother those who are sensitive to that subject matter, but the battles and violence do stay within PG-13 territory. With characters that feel very human, expansions to the world building, and rising stakes, The Crimson Campaign is a great sequel that builds upon the foundations of Promise of Blood and also provides some much-needed focus to the narrative structure. The combination of guns and magic that was the big selling point for the first book is still present, but now there is a lot more to appreciate and enjoy, even though the powder mages are still the best part.